Today we're making omelets. And to start out with making omelets, you're going to need to figure out what you would like in your omelets. In our omelets today, you're going to use red peppers. I have some jalapenos here for heat, onions, pork roll, and in the oven we have bacon. So I'm cooking the bacon partially because if you're going to put the bacon into the pan, it's going to take longer to cook, and then you're not going to have a lot of grease. So I thought maybe we'd cook our bacon part of the way and see how that, take it out, and then we'll dice it up from there. To get yourself started for this, you're going to need a cutting board, and you're going to need probably a damp paper towel on your counter. Now this is to keep your cutting board from moving, because you don't want to have to pick up your knife, start cutting, and then chasing your cutting board all over the counter. You're going to be working with the chef's knife today. So the chef's knife is the tool that's going to use to cut everything except for your cheese. All right, so you're going to hold it, your thumb on one side, curl your fingers against the other side, and hold it. There should be a nice balance. Okay, someone shouldn't be able to pull the knife out of your hand, but you should have a pretty decent grip on this. No white knuckles, no finger on the top. This puts stress on your wrist and all the way up your arm. You don't want this. You want to have a nice grip on it. This is the proper way to hold the knife. Thumb on one side, 4 fingers on the other side. Okay, you want to continue to do the bear claw when you're coming down. Tip of the knife on the cutting board. When you first start to use the knife, it is not uncommon for students to pick up the knife. Over time, as you progress, you'll notice that the tip of the knife will stay on the cutting board as you continue to use it, which is fine. Caring for your knives, you always want to make sure that you wash your knives separately, not in the same sink with the other ones, and no Brillo on the knife. It puts cuts in the knives and allows bacteria to get into the little cuts that you leave on the knife. Okay, so remember, keep your knives sharp always, and keep them separate when you're washing them in the sink. Right, and always the blade facing away from you, so when you're not using it, put it down here away. This one we're actually going to get rid of. It's just to show you the serrations on the knife, and we don't use this knife. This is used for tomatoes, maybe kiwi, but not for using today's activity. Okay, so we're going to put this aside. Okay, so we're going to use a red bell pepper into our omelets. This is a kind of a sweet pepper. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to cut it right down the middle. Okay, we've already rinsed it under cold water. Okay, we're going straight down the middle, and we're going to take out the seeds. Try to work neat again when you're working with this, not to have seeds all over the place. Okay, never take the blade and always, okay, don't waste a lot of the pepper. Okay, the peppers can be a little expensive. So you want to make nice, even slices. The reason we're making nice even slices in our omelet is because we want everything to cook evenly at the same time. So we're going to make nice even slices. Again, go with that bear claw because we don't want to take off any of our fingers. Tip of the knife on the cutting board. Try to make your nice even slices. This is a small dice. And there you go. Now, working with the jalapeno. One thing you don't want to do with your jalapeno is when you're working with it, touch your eye or touch any part of your face, because you're transferring the oils to your eye and then you'll have burning sensation. So, cut off the tip and work straight down. Much of the heat is in the seeds, so you got to be very careful when working with your jalapeno. And sometimes you can smell them, and they'll smell hot. This one smells hot, so be careful. Sometimes they shoot at you. Okay, you can actually chop them up. bowl. Okay, next we're gonna go with the onion. Take off one end. Let that peel back a little bit. It's okay if it does that. Cut the other end. Peel back. And there should be a root in here. Straight down. Try to peel off this outer layer a little bit. Now, rest, frost, and make nice even slices, keeping a little bit of this root intact. So you're going to come across here. Take your time here. Okay, and nice and evenly here. And if you can do another one, that's great. Take your time. And then here, turn it this way. And you probably have about a medium to a small dice. Some people like their onions very, very small because in their omelet, they want them to kind of melt away. So you would just take this, never this. Okay, take your onions rather. Switch, this is the chopping motion, hand here. Bring it back. And now we're going to move into our pork roll and bacon as meats in our omelet. Now, pork roll, something that's indigenous to New Jersey, depending upon what area of New Jersey you were born and raised in. Some people call this pork roll. Some people call this Taylor ham. They say there's a cutoff line in New Jersey as to where pork roll and Taylor ham have its naming called. Down here at the shore we call it pork roll. They say if you're from up north, Newark, they call it Taylor ham. So little hint, if you ever get a job at the boardwalk one day and someone says I want Taylor ham, egg and cheese, that those of us from down the shore, we know it as pork roll. It is actually pork roll. So take your pork roll. Okay, this is the easy part. Pork roll just gets make nice, even slices. Pork roll is like salami or in the salami family, but it is from New Jersey. So you travel outside New Jersey, you ask for pork roll, egg, and cheese. Sometimes they get a little confused as to what you're looking for. Try to keep it the same size. We do try to put this in the pan first because it is a meat, so we try to cook this first before adding the vegetables. Okay, so here's our pork roll. Now, here's that bacon that we cooked part of the way. It's not all the way cooked. All right, so we're going to take our bacon, we're going to line it up. Okay, and then we're going to do our bear claw. And we're going to make nice slices. And if you notice, we're cutting the meats on the cutting board after we've cut the vegetables, because we can't cut meat and vegetables on the same cutting board, especially raw meats. So if we were to cut the raw meats on here first, then we'd have to wash the cutting board. So we cut all of the vegetables first, and then we cut the meats. Right? So now we're going to try to clean up this area a little bit, and then we're going to crack our eggs. Okay, so we're going to take 3 eggs. We're going to crack 3 eggs. tap them. When you have a little bit of break, use your two thumbs. Slowly pull the eggs apart. 1, 2, 3. You want to work very neat with eggs. Okay. Number 3, pull apart. Okay, so once you have your 3 eggs cracked, wash your hands in between, and then you take your fork and you're adding air gently, scrambling them. Okay? And then you're ready to move over to make an omelet. We're using, and I'm going to turn it on. This is a gas stove, so when I turn this on, you're going to see a flame. When you see a flame, you know you're using a gas stove. If you don't see your flame, you're using an electric stove. You're see like a coil. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to make sure that this gets hot. I can hold my hand right here, I'm not touching it here, hold my hand here, and I know that the pan is getting hot. So I'm going to rest here. I'm going to put a little bit of butter in because I'm going to have a little bit of carryover here of some extra fat if I'm putting pork roll and bacon in. I'm going to coat the pan. Okay. Then I'm going to start to scoop in my ingredients. So if I want pork roll, you should hear that sizzle. Now I'm moving around the ingredients, so I'm cooking them. Okay, now if I want to add anything else, so say I want to add some onions in, I'm going to pick them up, put a spoonful of my onions in. Now you could tell I'm not adding the cheese at this point. Cheese has a low melting point, so I'm going to show you when you can add your cheese. In terms of burns, if you add it at this point. I'm going to add a little bit of jalapeno because I don't know how spicy it is. I can always add more when the omelet comes out. Now I'm going to add the egg. So I'm going to kind of make sure my ingredients are spread out. Take a look at your bacon. If you like it a little crispier, keep cooking. If you don't, then you're satisfied. Take your egg, just give it a little bit more, then pour it right into the pan. Pour around. There you go. There's nothing that you need to do at this point. Let it do its thing. Okay? Do not walk away from the stove either. Just stay right here. Look at your edges. They're starting to dry out a little bit. Let it cook. Bring your flame down so that it's not so high, but it's not so low. You still want to cook it around 5 or 4. But you have to ask somebody who knows your stove a little bit better than you do. So you see how it's drying out? The edges? You can just bring these in and then tilt it so it goes back. You can bring this in a little bit. Tilt it so you get some of the more liquid. you're looking for is all the liquid here to kind of dry out. And you can kind of give the pan a little bit of a wiggle. Make sure it's all drying out. Okay. And you see, you'll start to see when it starts to stop drying out. So then you want to grab your spatula at this point. And what you're going to do is you're going to come underneath, but almost like side to side, and then flip it over. It's okay if it breaks. This one is big, so this might break. You might see that. You're going to come in, you're going to come side, underneath, kind of tilt the pan up a little bit. Come in, and then let it break. Bring it on over like that. And if it kind of breaks a little bit, you can always come underneath here, pull it out a little bit. There you go. Now, if you want cheese in your omelet, this would be the perfect time to add it. Come in. So it has like that melted cheese, like that grilled cheese effect. Cheese in there. Let it cook a little bit longer. That. And then you can bring it over here, fold it over in half. You can let it cook. Depending upon how melted you want your cheese. Some people like a little bit melted, some people don't. Okay. Okay, and then you can bring it and have your plate ready. And your spatula right here onto your plate. Don't forget to turn your burner off. Bring your pan handles in. And there it is, the perfect omelet. Now you can make whatever kind you want. I just use this ingredients, but you can put whatever you want at home. You can add herbs if you want. You could do whatever you want at home.